Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman, Wargamer. It's an open the box and it's an unboxing of a game that I think many of us have been waiting for. It's finally here, and it is JU87 Stuka Ace, published by Lock and Load Publishing. So what's all this about? This is a game designed by Gottardo Zancani, who you may know from such games as Rifles in the Ardennes and Rifles in the Pacific. So, JU87 Stuka Ace is a solitaire game designed by award-winning designer Gottardo Zancani. JU87 Stuka Ace places you in command of a German Ju-87 dive bomber, famously known as the Ju-87 Stuka, an abbreviation of the German word Sturzkampfflugzeug, meaning dive bomber. The Stuka is one of the best known and distinctive aircraft of World War II, with its fixed landing gear and inverted gull wings. You can play a single mission or simulate the entire career of a Stuka pilot. Your mission is to destroy as many targets as possible, all while you avoid enemy fighters and anti-aircraft fire. Track your career as you improve your pilot skills, as you increase your personal rank and earn medals for your outstanding service. During these years, the Stuka was the subject of continuous development and improved performance. You will experience each of these Stuka models, starting with operations in either Spain or China, all the way through until the last actions in Soviet territory in 1944-45, with special campaigns in Malta, Sevastopol, the North Atlantic, and night missions. It's time to take to the skies and be the ultimate Ju-87 Stuka Ace. So in the box, we have one counter sheet of 100 counters, one spiral-bound game manual, one spiral-bound theatre book, 15 8.5 by 11-inch player aid stroke reference cards, two double-sided 8.5 by 5.5 pilot player cards, 171 poker-sized cards, and 9 ace tarot-sized cards. Game features: the scale, of course, you are the pilot of a single Ju-87 Stuka. Timescale, a single combat mission. The map scale, either the front or theatre. Playing time, between 20 to 30 minutes, based on the mission criteria. Players, 12 years and up. Solitaire play only. So we've got some credits. Executive producer, David Heath. Associate producer, Devin Heinley. Game design and development, Gottardo Zancani. Manual editor, Hans Korting. Box art and design, David Heath and Blackwell Hurd. Complexity, 5 out of 10. And solitaire suitability, of course, 10 out of 10. We can see here a glimpse of some of the cards, which we'll show you in a moment. Right, let's get the shrink wrap off. Shrink wrap is off. It's a 3-inch, very sturdy box with a sort of linen finish, which I hope you can see. Right, let's open the box. So first thing in the box, we've got a couple of bookmarks, which are always handy. And then we've got the rules. So let's have a look at those. So, as is becoming the norm with Lock and Load Publishing's rule books, it's ring bound. It's 83 pages, but please don't be too frightened, because as with all of their rule books, it's a large font and there are lots of pictures. And as you'll see, I think it's about 30 odd pages for the sort of basic rules for you to start playing missions. But anyway, here we've got the contents. component list. I won't go through it all, but we'll give you an idea. So it breaks down everything that's in the box, which we'll have a look at. This is on the back of the box. I didn't read it out because it's actually been replaced by a neoprene mat, which we'll have a look at later. Here are all the reference cards for the aircraft. Counters, and then introduction, how to play the game. It breaks it down so you know exactly what you're doing. The cards. But it goes on explaining what the different components do, and then we're into the setup. And it does suggest that for your first game, you select mission number 1 of the Poland 1939 campaign, if this is your first time playing. So here we go. Select your aircraft, prepare your pilot. The mission phase is explained here. It's also explained further on in a bit more detail. So you'll be taking off, approach of the target, target attack. And here we are, a bit more detail. Most of this game is sort of controlled by these actions, which will show you on a player's aid card in a moment. So you take off, you approach the target until you reach the target, then you attack it, the dive bombing. And what's quite cool about this is you can pick how close to the ground you want to go before you release your bomb. The closer you get, of course, the more accurate it is, but the chances of pulling up if you are an inexperienced pilot is questionable. Here's one of the target cards. So that goes through all this, pulling up. As you can see, these here, bomb release, pulling up. These are the actions that you have to look up to see how successful you are. Damaging the target and then returning to base. I think the first couple of missions you won't be refueling because there's only one sortie for that mission. So you go out, do your bombing, and then come back. There may be a dogfight if you get an enemy contact. Any damage your aircraft gets is explained here. The end of mission phase, explaining some of the mission events you might get, like enemy contact, flak, and so on. And it says here, stop reading here. You can now play Mission 1 and Mission 2 of the Poland 1939 theatre. The campaign rules are not required for your first game. So, 35 pages, as I said, large font, lots of pictures, so you should be quite quickly up and running with your first game, because now we're into the campaign, which explains in great detail how that works, and you'll get more skills, you'll get awards and go up in rank, control more planes, that sort of thing. So at least you can start getting into the game without reading hundreds of pages. The career card you're going to use, that's actually printed on the neoprene mat, so you don't actually need the cards which come with this if you do not wish to. All the awards. Then you've got optional rules, quite a lot of those. which apply to the campaign. There's a hypothetical Graf Zeppelin campaign where the Germans were going to build aircraft carriers, but as you probably know, it never came to fruition. But there's a sort of what if campaign that they actually did complete the Graf Zeppelin aircraft carrier. And then after that, we've got historical notes, a very short history of the Ju-87 in the different sort of theatres. And then the Stuka models. And this is the Caesar, which was designed for the Graf Zeppelin class aircraft carriers, but of course never happened. The markings, the armaments, type of bombs, a nice bibliography, and there are a couple of typographical errors in the printed material, but none of them are life-threatening, like here, you know what that says. Then we've got the credits, and then we're into the game tutorial. Now, what I suggest with this is just to read through it and get an idea of what's going on as you progress through it, and then have a go for real with the first mission. So the reason I'm saying just read through this to get an idea in your head how the sequence of play works is because it says here, welcome to the game tutorial for Ju-87 Stuka Ace, where we will play through mission 1 of the Poland campaign using a Ju-87B, which is what they recommend in the mission book. And what happens here is that after you get your cards ready, it says select the Ju-87A-1, which is the one used in the optional Spanish Civil War campaign. So that's the reason I say just read through it. There may be a reason I'm missing for them to say use the A1. But anyway, this is a good read to give you an idea of how the game works. So you'll work through this extended sequence of play for that mission 1. How to do the takeoff, approaching the target, when you reach it, attacking the target, releasing your bombs, and the pull-up. And then return to base. So well worth reading that. I read the rules and then had a quick read of that, and I've got a pretty good idea now how the game works. Then at the end we've got some campaign logs that you can photocopy, even though there's one in the box on card that you can use. Example of a mission report and one in the back of the book for you to photocopy if you want to use that. And that's it. Them's the rules. Next, we've got the theatres booklet, which lists all your missions that you can do. And starts off with the component breakdown again. Select and prepare your mission. It starts off with, I think these are sort of optional, is the Spain theatre and one for China, both in 1938. But most people will start with the Poland theatre of operations. So you'll sort of I say roll, but as you'll see, there aren't any dice in this game. It's all done on the cards. So for Poland, we've actually got 5 different missions, and you'll choose which one by using that table. Any secondary targets you might have, the weather, and the theatre cards to use. So for instance, mission 1 here, the flight cards, you'll put 2 approach cards in and 1 return to base card. Give them a shuffle. You're only going to be doing 1 sortie. That's going to be after a gun emplacement. No enemy around, which is good, which is why you don't get any support fighters. And the objective cards, you're going to have a searching and target reach, which will give a little mix. But I think as you progress, you won't work through this book from start to finish. I think you get assigned to different theatres. The next one is Norway. You might get assigned there. Or France. Oh, here we are. Battle of Britain. Crete. Mediterranean. Malta. Lots to keep you busy here. North Africa. And then the Soviet Union. Sevastopol. Lots of missions there. North Atlantic Sea. Soviet Union 2, later on in the war. Starts to get a bit tougher, I think. As time goes on, these missions become nightmare. Soviet Union 3. Italy. All missions in this one use the night mission rules, which would be interesting. There we are, a few adverts. And a jam-packed theatres booklet full of missions. Then there's 2 double-sided pilot player cards. I'll have a look at those. Here's the card you'll start off with. You'll start off as a lieutenant, a Keta wingman, and all that's on here really is a place to put your stamina and some special info here on this one. When you have to do a navigation check, you ignore any reference to formations, including formation actions, because you're not in charge of any formations. You'll see that on the other cards. Then if you get promoted, well, I say promoted, you're still a lieutenant, but you now become a Keta leader. So a bit more going on the card here, showing you how your formation is doing, whether it's in Vic, tight or loose formation, and any special things you have to be aware of. And then you are promoted and become an Oberleutnant, where you're a Staffel leader. And then finally, a Hauptmann, Gruppe leader. And then there's a shed load of different Stukas for you to fly as you progress through the campaign. So I'll do a quick look through these, and if you want more details, just stop the video because there's quite a lot of them. Here's the first, the A1 Anton, and just to show you on this first one, you've got damage spaces for the engine and other places on the plane that you might get damage on, bomb capacity, and some info here. On this bottom part, you record any wounds that you or your gunner might get, any special rules, and little tracks for engine power and maneuver. These are double-sided. Here's the Anton for the Spanish missions, the A1 Anton for China. Here's the B1 Bertha. This is the one you'll start off with for your missions in Poland. Another B1 Berta. This time you can see it's in gold. There's no difference between those two. The gold one has a slightly different paint job on it, so you can choose which one you want to use. The B2 Tropical, I think. This obviously looks like it's going to be used in dry areas like North Africa. And here's the B2 Trop with the more traditional camouflage paint job. Here's the JU87 B2 Berta with that distinctive yellow nose. The B2 for Italy and Malta. The C1 Caesar or Kaiser. This was the one developed for the Graf Zeppelin class aircraft carrier with the folding wings, but of course never came to be. The D1 Dora, improved aerodynamics and a new engine. And the D3 Dora, which as it says here, had improved armour plating for the engine lower fuselage. The D5 Dora, longer wings on this one. Here's the JU87 D5N. This was the night version. As it says here, it had flame dampeners mounted on the side of the engine. The G1 Gustav, nicknamed the Kanonenvogel, the cannon bird. As you can see, had some flak cannons there mounted on it. The G2 Gustav, and you've probably seen there's a bit of reflections going on. It's actually sunny for once in merry old England, so apologies for that. The R1 Richard, which as it says here, had increased range. And lastly, the J87 R2 for Italy, Malta. Next up, some player aid cards. Here's the first one, summarizing the bomb attack and the things you have to do to see if it's successful. So for instance, to successfully dive, you have to take into account any minuses for visibility, how the formation's doing, and your altitude. So you'll play cards to try and get 4 or more as a result. If not, you get a -2 to actually release the bomb up here. One for strafing, one for a gun attack when those are fitted to the Stukas. And on the other side, we've got the takeoff, we've got crash, any flak that is coming your way, an emergency landing. Here's what you have to do: returning to base, landing, and ground landing. Not quite sure the difference, but there it is. Here's one for the theatre tables, campaign summary and the sequence. And depending on what dive bomber wing or Sturzkampfgeschwader you are, will tell you where you're going. And over here, we've got the other dive bomber wings and some more on this player aid. Here we've got a sequence of player aid, showing you how to set up your mission and what happens during that mission. And on the other side, we've got a continuation of that with a bit more detail about things like dogfighting, any pilot skills you might have, and so on. Here's a single side sequence of play for those that wish to play the Graf Zeppelin mission. And finishing off with a photocopyable pilot campaign log, and on the other side, a mission report. One sheet of counters. They are nice and thick and pre-rounded, just punch and play. So we've got the bombs up here, different types of bombs, engine damage, TOW, and so on. Any DRMs for your bomb release, target damaged. These are the stamina counters, and these look like pilot skills. These are all the dive bomber wings you can belong to, some awards, and your rank. And here's the other side. The only thing left to show you are the cards, but before I do that, here's that neoprene mat. Nice quality, stitched along the edges. So pilot card there, and all the cards, which I'll show you in a moment, can go there. So that comes as standard. And lastly, there are the cards, which come in this handy insert. However, if you're a sleever, doesn't look like there's going to be enough room for you to use that insert. So all you do is take it out. Right, let's have a look at the cards. First up, we've got the flight cards. There are a lot of those, but they are used in different theatres. I won't show you them all. For instance, oh, there's the reshuffle card. This is Europe missions. There's naval. USSR, so I think these are added in depending on what theatre you're doing to some of the more ubiquitous cards. Knight and China. We've got the action cards showing you the amount of points and any other stuff that's going to go on with this card. For instance, you get an extra 2 to your total for your pull-up attempt, and some other things here. I won't show you them all. There we are, that's the action cards, which are going to take, I believe, 5 for each mission. Altitude cards. And I think it depends on what mission you're doing. We'll show you which one of these to put in the deck you're going to use. So we've got some clear, poor visible. That doesn't look good. Right. Target cards. So load of different targets. Keep you busy. And then these objective cards, and the mission will tell you how many searching and how many target reach cards to put in. But these searching cards have different things going on. So you'll add as many as it says, give them a shuffle, and use that for the mission. One thing I forgot to show you on the cards, as I mentioned earlier, there are no dice in this game. It's all done by drawing a card, and on the flight cards you can see here we've got a 6-sided die and a 12-sided die, and you will draw one of these to see what die roll you get. There are also some little munition cards, which are like sort of mini player aid cards, telling you all about these cluster bombs which you're going to be using in the campaign. So there's 3 of those. And lastly, there are some tarot-sized cards. You've got a couple of these career cards, which, as you saw on the neoprene matte. This is already printed, but if you want to use the actual card, there it is. But also added, which wasn't going to be in the original content, were these Ace cards because of, well, you know what happened with the order. They've put those in as a freebie. And these are real Stuka Aces you can use with special abilities. So that'll spice up the game if you wish. And there's a little rules card included telling you how to use them. There we go. That's everything in the box. So this has been an Open the Box, an unboxing of Lock and Load Publishing's brand new solitaire air war game, Ju-87 Stuka Ace, designed by Gottardo Zancani. And crikey, what a lot you get. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and you found it interesting. If you did and you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'll tell you what, it would do the channel a world of good if you would at least consider doing that. Another thing that's good for the channel is if you push the thumbs up, the like button underneath the video, that tickles the algorithm. And if you want to be informed of other content the channel uploads, then push that bell. But make sure you push all notifications, otherwise YouTube might forget to tell you. As always, leave a comment. I know there's been some backlash and some disgruntled people across the planet because of what's happened to this latest delivery of Lock and Load's new products. But as you can see, they are here now. So, as I say, leave a comment, but, you know, make it a constructive comment. Let me know what you think. Have you got the game? Have you played it? What do you think of it? Those are the sort of things I want to know, because I love to read them. Thanks as always to my subscribers. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And just before I go, as always, a little quick plug. If you wish to support the channel a little bit further, you can. You can buy the channel a coffee, and there's a link for that in the description. Or if you wish, you can push the super thanks button, which is either underneath the video or hidden away in that place where the 3 dots are down at the bottom right hand of the video. Click on that and I'm sure it's there. But it's not compulsory. But if you decide to do that, the channel thanks you, because it does help the channel to keep ticking along with bits and pieces. Right then, no clipping for this one, and I hope you can join me for my next video. So until then, as always, you take care and goodbye.